Welcome to Due Diligence Deep Dive, Course 10 in the MaxLife Commercial Academy. I'm Ryan Solberg, real estate broker with MaxLife Realty LLC, and in this course, we're going to walk through the complete due diligence process for commercial real estate, from the moment you sign a letter of intent all the way to closing. Due diligence is where deals are made, saved, or killed. Get it right and you protect your capital. Skip steps and you could inherit someone else's nightmare. Let's get into it. Let's start with the framework because due diligence without structure is just anxiety. Due diligence is the investigation period, typically 30 to 90 days, during which you, the buyer, verify every material fact about a property before you release your contingencies and go hard on earnest money. The clock starts the moment both parties sign the letter of intent, so do not waste the first week. I want you to think of due diligence as resting on four pillars: legal, physical, environmental, and financial. Each one has a specialist assigned to it. Your attorney handles legal, your inspector handles physical, your environmental consultant handles the site assessment, and your CPA or your broker helps you stress test the financials. The contingency period exists to protect you. If your findings are material, you can walk away without penalty and get your earnest money back. That protection only works if you actually do the work, which is why a written checklist is non-negotiable. Verbal assurances from a seller mean absolutely nothing at the closing table. Your goal here is simple: confirm every single assumption in your underwriting or renegotiate the deal to reflect what you found. Remember, due diligence is not a formality you rush through to satisfy a lender. It is your last line of defense before you own the problem. Legal due diligence is about answering one question: do you actually own what you think you are buying, and can you use it the way you intend to? Within the first week, order a title commitment from a licensed title company. When it comes back, do not just skim it. Read Schedule B, Section 2, line by line. Those are your exceptions: the easements, covenants, and encumbrances that travel with the land, no matter who owns it. Next, order an ALTA survey and lay it against those Schedule B exceptions. The survey shows you on a map what the title commitment describes in words, and that is how you catch an encroachment, a shared driveway, or a utility easement running straight through where you plan to build. Then confirm the zoning classification actually permits your intended use before you remove a single contingency. I have watched buyers fall in love with a building only to learn the use they wanted was never allowed. Review every existing contract, service agreements, management, parking, because you may inherit them, and verify there are no open permits, code violations, or liens. Two things you should never do: accept title exceptions without your attorney reviewing them, and skip the ALTA survey on a property with shared access or irregular boundaries. Those shortcuts are exactly where the expensive surprises hide. Physical due diligence is where you send in the professionals and then walk the property yourself. A property condition assessment, or PCA, is a comprehensive review of every major system in the building. This is not optional. Your lender will likely require one anyway, but even in all cash deals, you want a PCA in hand before you go hard. The four categories that cost investors the most in surprise capital expenses are the roof, HVAC, plumbing, and electrical systems. Here in Central Florida, a commercial roof that is 15 years old and has not been recoated could be looking at a full replacement within 5 years. And on a 20,000 square foot strip center, that bill could exceed $200,000. Get the inspection report, get a cost estimate for deferred items, and use those numbers to negotiate a price reduction or a seller credit at closing. The walkthrough is your own eyes on the asset. Inspectors see systems, you see the business reality, Is the parking lot cracking? Are there downspouts draining toward the foundation? Is the HVAC running during your visit? Trust your instincts and document everything with photos. Environmental due diligence is the pillar most buyers underestimate, and it is the one that can attach a six-figure liability to your name. There are two levels, and you need to understand when each applies. A phase one environmental site assessment is non-invasive, no soil, no groundwater sampling. A licensed environmental professional reviews historical records, aerial photographs, and old fire insurance maps to identify what we call recognized environmental conditions, or RECs. Virtually every commercial lender requires a phase one. It typically runs $1,500 to $3,500, and critically, it preserves your innocent landowner defense under CERCLA, the federal cleanup law. That defense matters because environmental liability follows the property, not just the polluter. Now, when a phase one identifies one or more RECs, that triggers a phase two. This one is invasive. Soil borings, groundwater sampling, and lab analysis to determine whether contamination is actually present. A phase two can run anywhere from $5,000 to $50,000 or more, depending on scope, and the findings can either kill your deal or require the seller to remediate before closing. You may also be asked to sign an environmental indemnity agreement. Here is the rule I want you to memorize. If a phase one recommends a phase two, you never waive it to save money. Skipping that step to save a few $1,000s is how buyers inherit a cleanup that costs them everything. Financial due diligence is where most investors make their biggest mistakes and where the best investors make their biggest finds. Every number the seller has given you in marketing materials is a representation, not a fact. Your job during DD is to verify every line item against source documents. Start with the trailing 12 operating statement and request backup for every income and expense item. Pull the actual lease documents and build your own rent roll from scratch. I have seen deals where the seller's rent roll showed 5 tenants current and paying, and when we pulled the actual lease files, 2 of those tenants had lease expirations within 60 days and had already told the property manager they were not renewing. That is a deal-changing discovery. Always run your numbers at today's lending environment, not the rate the seller underwrote to 3 years ago. If you are working with Ryan Solberg and the MaxLife Commercial team, we can walk you through a full financial model before you release your DD contingency. Give us a call at 321-586-2121. When you buy commercial real estate, you are not just buying a building, you are buying the income stream, and that income lives inside the leases. The rent roll is a story the seller tells you. The leases are the facts. Your job is to make the facts match the story. Start by obtaining fully executed copies of every lease, along with all amendments and addenda. Not a summary, the actual signed documents. From those, build a lease abstract for each tenant. Square footage, base rent, escalations, term, renewal options, and any tenant improvement obligations. Then verify it is real by requesting 12 months of bank deposit records to confirm tenants are actually paying. Check tenant credit too. Public company filings for the publicly traded names, Dun and Bradstreet for the private ones. Now look for the landmines hidden in the language. Co-tenancy clauses can slash rent if an anchor tenant goes dark. Exclusivity clauses can block you from leasing to certain uses, which limits your future flexibility. And confirm whether the seller still owes any tenant improvement allowances that become your obligation at closing. 2 mistakes will cost you: accepting the rent roll as accurate without reading every underlying lease and ignoring lease options. A tenant sitting on a below market option to renew is a hidden liability that can suppress your income for years. Read every word. The final stretch of due diligence is where discipline pays off. Going hard on your earnest money is a major decision. At that moment, you are telling the seller and the market that you are a committed buyer and your capital is at risk. Only reach that moment when you have resolved every material finding or negotiated appropriate relief. Here is something many buyers do not appreciate. Your findings during DD are your strongest negotiating leverage in the entire transaction. A seller who has accepted your offer is emotionally and logistically committed to selling. If your PCA reveals a $100,000 roof replacement, bring the report to the table and ask for a price reduction or a seller credit at closing. Most sellers will negotiate rather than relist and wait another 90 days. Lender due diligence runs on its own timeline. Your bank's appraiser and underwriter will review your Phase 1, your rent roll, and your PCA independently. Stay in close contact with your loan officer throughout DD, so lender requirements do not create a last-minute closing extension, and never skip the final walkthrough. Properties change between contract and closing. Confirm the condition is consistent with what you agreed to buy. You have just completed Due Diligence Deep Dive, Course 10 in the MaxLife Commercial Academy. You now have a framework for running a complete DD process on any commercial real estate acquisition. Remember, the purpose of due diligence is not to find a reason to kill a deal. It is to confirm that the deal you underwritten is the deal you are actually buying. When findings surface, use them strategically. Protect your capital, negotiate from facts, and never go hard until you are ready to own what you are buying. I'm Ryan Solberg, real estate broker with MaxLife Realty LLC, license number 33343. If you are evaluating a commercial property here in Central Florida and want a second set of eyes on your due diligence process, give us a call at 321-58-2121 or visit us at maxlifedevelopment.com/academy. The next course in the academy covers the commercial financing and capital stack, how to structure debt, find the right lender, and close with confidence. We will see you there.